Hello and welcome to the Whoniverse and to a brand new video. Now, a few days ago we were treated to a spectacular Series 12 trailer for Doctor Who featuring friends and foes new and old, with brilliant location shooting and plenty of incredibly captivating CGI. If you haven't watched the 60-second trailer, then you can catch it on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel, and if you've watched the trailer, you're probably like me, wondering what each frame means from time period, location, aliens, emotions, or even the camera angles themselves. So, let's break down this trailer shot by shot and try to decipher what we can with a bit of help from extra info provided from official sources and interviews. I'll also have my own theories and thoughts to add too. So, let's begin. The trailer starts with this crane or maybe even a drone shot of the TARDIS parked in amongst these rows of greenery at what looks to be a vineyard. To the right of the frame we have Team TARDIS dressed in a set of tuxedos marching through the gates and towards this grand house. The aerial angle provides us with an introduction to the setting in this establishing shot, and the great use of exotic filming locations. It really does make the show look big budget. Now, a quick side note, using the official image of the Doctor and her fam with the TARDIS, former graphic designer for the show's comics, Will Brooks, has made a blog detailing each TARDIS prop and believes this one seen in the vineyard is a brand new model, given that it doesn't have any of the hallmarks of the other models made for the series so far. It's an interesting fact if true, and I thought I'd throw it into the mix. Now, moving on to this mid-shot of the Doctor, Ryan, and Yaz as the Doctor introduces herself in a James Bond-esque fashion.
Bond. James Bond.
As Doctor, the Doctor, which is quite good. This shot takes place not long after the first shot of this trailer and simply shows the Doctor introducing herself to someone new, though is she undercover like us parodied spy persona? Most likely, as looking more closely at this first frame, we can just about see a collection of people in formal dress to the left. Is this just a dinner party or something more sinister, but the gate the Doctor and her companions are walking through does have a plaque with a logo on the post, which I can't quite make out. Some evil business perhaps? Going back to the second shot, I've just spotted this surface nearly out of frame. This is most likely a little table with a list of guests written on it, to add to the dinner party idea. Now, this next shot is a quick cut one and shows a beveled bronze escape pod-like craft hurtling towards Earth with a fiery trail in front of it as it enters the atmosphere. Now, the computer-generated imagery for this series, like Series 11, are being provided by DNEG, and they have done a great job throughout this trailer, making Doctor Who's effects look better than they ever have. The next quick cut shot in the trailer is of the Doctor waving a sonic screwdriver through the air in front of her, scanning for something perhaps in this night scene illuminated by two other light sources which are most likely street lamps. Now, in this scene the Doctor is teamed up with two other people, though given the lighting in this shot it's hard to work out who they are. One is walking off to the left of the frame behind the Doctor, while the other is standing to the right of the frame behind the Doc as well. Now, this next shot is brilliant as we see DNEG's great CGI work once more, and we're treated to our first look at a Judoon ship in over a decade of Doctor Who stories. The ship seems to have had a slight redesign in places, but remains mostly the same to as seen in Smith & Jones in Series 3. Now, usually this being a Judoon ship would be a theory, however we already know they are in this series thanks to this official photo, plus they also appear later in this very trailer. Now, the Judoon never really fire energy beams at planets, instead they use H2O scoops to transport people to them as they have little to no jurisdiction on Earth. So I'm thinking instead of an outright death ray, these rhino-faced space police will instead use this green beam as a teleport or transmat. They'll deploy themselves onto the planet as discreetly as they know how to do, with the beam itself aimed at what looks to be the UK. Moving on to this next shot, which is quick cut again and features this toothy alien pounding on glass behind a chain link fence or barricade. Now, I guess it poses a slight resemblance to the hoax from Series 2 Episode 10, but I'm not too sure. Is the alien actually aggressive, or is it simply being made that way by unlawful imprisonment? It's difficult to grab anything more from this shot. Now, in this next shot, however, we get to see a close-up of the Doctor as she dons goggles once again, perhaps referencing Jodie Whittaker's first full-length adventure as the Time Lord, the woman who fell to Earth, in Series 11. The goggles also remind me of the ones Matt Smith's Doctor would wear as he tinkered with the TARDIS. Now, why Jodie's Doctor is wearing the goggles now in what seems to be a grassy woodland setting is beyond me. Now, superimposed over these shots we also have the voice of recently announced cast member Stephen Fry, who says the security of this entire planet is at stake. This adventure is going to have higher stakes than most of Series 11 stories, and I can't wait for that. Now, the scene the audio originates from is shown as Team TARDIS is shown in the very British looking office space with the Union flag in the background, cups of tea and lots of brown leather furniture. This definitely has James Bond vibes, with Stephen Fry's character being portrayed as a figure similar to M from the books and films. The costume work for this series is as always looking great, with Jodie's custom coat still looking stunning and each companion's unique outfit still standing out in each scene. I still can't get over how good the tuxes look, hats off to the designer Ray Holman. Now in this next shot we get a close-up zoom into the face of Stephen Fry as he delivers a line with intensity and utmost serious purpose. Can we rely on you? The Doctor and her team potentially being hired by this figure who has a collection of what looks to be like drip bags in the background, suggesting this character isn't in the best health. Now from the seriousness of Doctor Who to the silliness, as the music stops and we're shown the Doctor in a tuxedo trapped under the floorboards next to another person whose identity I'm not too sure on. The Doctor says, "It's not where I want it to be, but I can work with this." I think many of us can relate to that statement. They're once more showing the optimism and value of hope to this incarnation of the Doctor while also providing the audience with a chuckle or a smile. Now in this next shot, as the music comes back, we get a look at the ship, which is like the Bronze escape pod we haven't seen before in Doctor Who. It's blasting off from somewhere with a fiery trail behind it. However, the background is hard to decipher. It could be a huge city at night, stars in the sky, or a sheet of tinfoil. It's honestly quite difficult to tell. This next shot shows the Doctor, Ryan and Graham in a nicely designed purple spaceship interior. I really like the diagonal pieces of the neon pinky purple shooting across the front, left and right part of the frame. Now moving on to the next shot, and we have this Judoon on the move. A nice bit of lens flare and some intriguing patterns in the background. I'm liking the close and low angle shot of the rampaging rhino, full armoured and a force to be reckoned with, its gravelly voice speaking in its native tongue. Now the last time I believe the Judoon appeared on screen was in Series 9 Episode 10, Face the Raven, in a small cameo role. Now this next shot is again quick cut and shows us Graham and Yaz confused and running, so the usual for Friends of the Titular Time Lord. They seem to be in an abandoned warehouse with planks of wood and industrial containers scattered across the floor. A blink and you'll miss it element are the straps that appear to be around Yaz's shoulder. Is she wearing a backpack? If so, what's in it and is it important? Also, Graham is wearing a West Ham Football Club badge on his jacket. Now the next shot is really quick and features teal lighting and a close shot of the Doctor turning round. The setting itself is again hard to decipher. Now this next shot features a brand new alien, which may look familiar if you can see past all the prosthetics, but more about that in a second. Firstly, let's take a close look at this creature. Now when I caught up with the trailer late at night, the reaction on Twitter at least suggested this alien could be related to the Empress of the Rachnos seen during the 2006 Christmas special The Runaway Bride. I personally think this is something completely new, however it may have a very slight relation to the Rachnos, similar to that of the Minotaur of Series 6's God Complex, being a rough descendant of the Naimon. Now if you've ever watched the Sarah Jane Adventures, you may know of the character Rani Chandra, played by Anjali Mahindra. She's met the 10th and 11th Doctor as Rani, but now she seems set to meet the 13th as this brand new creature. According to her Spotlight CV, she plays the character called Queen Skifra. It's definitely an interesting casting decision with her not playing her existing character. However, when has this stopped Doctor Who before? And Anjali is a great actress. Now moving on to the next shot. Feel free to take a shot for every time I say that phrase. We have this superimposed audio of the Doctor asking if anyone's seen anything weird, which is Doctor Who pretty much summed up. The shot itself features what looks like some kind of teal lighting again, and same setting as that hard to decipher shot before. I've not a clue to the identity of the character on the right. However, the gent on the left is of interest. He appears to be a portrayal of real-life inventor Nikola Tesla, who was born in 1856 and died in 1943. Tesla was famous for his dozens of breakthroughs in the production, transmission and application of electric power. He invented the first alternating current motor and developed AC generation in transmission technology. I always like it when Doctor Who explores the historical and sprinkles a little bit of alien into the mix. This next shot is a close-up of the Doctor being the origin of the superimposed question. She's very noticeably wearing a head torch, heavily hinting towards this incarnation's explorer persona. The Doctor is also wearing her burgundy shirt variation seen in 2 of Series 11's historical episodes, Rosa and Demons of the Punjab. Both of these episodes were brilliant, so let's hope this shirt is a lucky charm. A subtle piece of editing, if you're not really looking, is similar to the torchlight shining in the Series 11 trailer, is this moment where Jodie's Doctor jolts to avoid sparks behind her, which is then blended into a beautiful shot of the TARDIS hurtling through the time vortex. The next shot is another aerial establishing shot featuring the huge domed structure with a dusty track and the shuttle moving along it, surrounded by this desert landscape. I can't really work much more out from this one. And the next shot is a close on a character, I believe it to be Nikola Tesla again, who questions the existence of aliens with an expression of panic and shock. And it's this shot I absolutely love. Firstly, we have Yaz, I think, in what appears to be period appropriate clothing. Now, time appropriate costumes being one of the things on my 10 things I'd love to see in this series list is something I'm really happy about. Next we have the energy of the shot with fast running, fast panning and a fast new alien that looks brilliantly terrifying and realistic too. It has this scorpion-like appearance with these demonic red eyes. I wonder if this is an alien related to Anjali's character of Queen Skifra. The CGI really does look flawless, and having the creature interact with the environment around it really helps push the sense of realism. Now running behind Yaz, there is another character who is very hard to make out, but it appears to be an older man wearing a waistcoat. Now I'm tempted to say he slightly resembles the famous inventor Thomas Edison, born in 1847 and died in 1931. Now with both Tesla and Edison alive at the same time, both being inventors in regards to electricity, could we see two inventors teaming up against demonic scorpions and their queen? This is only a theory of course, but it does sound pretty cool. Now our next shot is Yaz centre frame with Graham on the right of the shot. They're both in the back of a car at night, but I'm uncertain of anything other than that. Now these next two shots seem to take place in the same scene, with Jodie's doctor dancing around the TARDIS console, flicking switches ready to presumably extract info from Graham's memory to pilot the TARDIS using this makeshift headset. I think it's basically like the TARDIS telepathic circuits, which have been shown in multiple different ways, with each Doctor's version of their TARDIS possessing a different way of connecting friend to phone box. For Peter Capaldi's TARDIS, it was this panel with bits of organic material to sink your hands into. For Jodie Whittaker's more chaotic traveller, it's this headset. The headset itself has a slight resemblance to the design of a Dalek, with a lens at the centre and two lights on each side. Whether this was a conscious decision is uncertain. Now, the Doctor asks if Graham trusts her, and Graham replies comically with a "Do you want me to answer that?" Now going back to these shots of Ryan inside a car screaming as it appears to drive itself into reverse at high speed, with Ryan simply along for the ride. Now driverless cars are an interesting topic to explore on Doctor Who. Chances are there's more to it, but who knows. I mean, the last time I remember a car taking control without the driver or passenger's permission in Doctor Who was during Series 4 with the Atmos system.
Well, see, that's a tautology. You can't say Atmos system, because it stands for atmospheric emission system, so you're saying atmospheric emission system. Do you see, Mr. Conditional Clause?
Oh dear. Right then, these next couple of shots are really good to see, as not only do we have the Doctor on a motorbike wearing a tux while chasing a car and dodging bullets, but we also have the owner of the firing gun being played by Sir Lenny Henry. I mean, this is the kind of action set piece that just screams the Uncharted games to me, and this is definitely something I can get behind. The next sequence shows the Doctor again wearing the tuxedo, noticeably without her fam, questioning a passerby about her location, which is revealed in this stunning frame to be Paris 1943. This tuxedo adventure seems to have everything: action set pieces, new costumes, and an intriguing time travel plot. I really do appreciate the work visual effects teams have done before with this show, but blimey DNEG have knocked it out of the park with the way the visuals look. Yes, you can fault Series 11 on its stories or acting or set design if you really want to, but one thing you can't doubt is the camera work and the effects work is definitively a step up. And Series 12 again with brilliant cinematography and effects, I really can't wait to see where this goes. Now moving on to this next panning shot as the mood changes as we have the Doctor sat on the floor of the TARDIS, which is in full blue lighting, rather than the fiery orange it usually shines, indicating a cold and solemn mood as the Doctor fears something is coming for her. This is something I would love to see more of on the back of Series 11, with Jodie's Doctor not always being a fun and eccentric character, but also a weary traveller whose age is in the thousands and experiences poetic and painful in the millions. So as we pass the halfway point of this trailer, my jaw actually dropped with these two frames. The Cybermen are back and they do look menacing. I love the struggling to survive Cybermen look with rust and wear and tear, so much more than the pristine and polished look. The design for the Cybermen seems to be a weathered variation of the design that debuted in 2013's Nightmare in Silver, with the signature Iron Man-like chest piece. Noticeably, the cowl of the Cyberman has been modified and hastily repaired, with a look similar to that of an unused design by Matthew Savage for the Series 2 story Rise of the Cybermen. The similarities are clear and this is definitely a design I love. Now a blink and you'll miss it moment. As we actually have this Cyberman walking through the flames, you can see that both arms don't actually match, with one looking eerily human. This looks to be quite a scary story and one that seems determined on making the Cybermen, even when damaged, a force to be reckoned with. Is this what the Doctor's dialogue hints at, her fearing, with the next shot being a close-up of the distressed Doctor, or is this just some clever editing making a greater threat yet to come hidden? Now after the close-up of the Doctor in her very blue TARDIS, we get a shot of Ryan, who appears to be standing in what could perhaps be an industrial estate or an airport. Now Ryan is standing shoulder to shoulder with someone, but I can't tell who. Meanwhile, in the blurred backdrop we have four other people, with one of the furthest to the right looking to be the Doctor in a burgundy shirt with her blue trousers. Now the Doctor with three others watching Ryan doesn't quite match the maths of total TARDIS team members in this situation. It's quite similar to Series 1's Father's Day or Series 9's Before the Flood, where a past Doctor is observed by a present day version. Perhaps the Doctor and her fam are actually watching a past version or a previous version of Ryan. Now the shot of Ryan, Yaz and Graham, with the pair all featuring optimistic and determined comments from the gang, come up next, as they try to comfort the Doctor, most likely saying they hear the Doctor's warning of something coming for her, but they'll help her face it. Now the shot of Yaz features what looks to be Sheffield Police Station in the background, along with a police officer, suggesting we might be going to delve deeper into Yaz's role as a police officer, finally. Only really something focused on in Series 11's first episode and briefly mentioned in its third episode too. This is something I really wanted to delve into. We then get a quick shot of Team TARDIS in the ship ready to confront the threat head on as the Doctor throws down the materialization lever, edited to the beat. I'd like to add at this point, for me at least, the TARDIS looks a lot better lit, ready to show off those intricate details designed and crafted by the talented production team. Now this next frame is interesting as we pan and follow the swarm of birds or bats as they terrorise the Doctor in this odd laboratory-like setting, with trays of what looks to be like soil being filled with a concoction inside of these containers. Could these be a batch of pesticides or like Miracle Grow gone wrong, causing these bat or bird-like creatures to grow exponentially and swarm or be really aggressive? It's just a theory. I mean, the next shot has the Doctor watching as these glowing figures appear. The silhouettes are difficult to think of, matching to any other creature the Doctor's confronted before. It's really difficult to work out who these creatures are, or are they humans in spacesuits? What's the deal? It's just really difficult to work it out. And that's what I'm loving about these trailers, is you get given stuff to look at and analyse and observe, and you're in awe of it, but at the same time it's not giving everything away. Now speaking of confrontation, we have the Doctor demanding an unknown assailant to leave some of her allies alone. Who could these monsters be, with the location of this frame providing little cues other than it perhaps providing a slight match to this next frame? In this frame we have Chaos as these two people who appear to be wearing an odd variation of hazmat suits. However, their weapons appear to be more alien in nature, so are they human, are they alien, it's hard to tell, but these weapons are blasting across the room full of odd items. Now moving on to the next shot, which features great CGI work once again as this creature phases in through the TARDIS doors with a raging red glow. Yaz, scared, asks for a reassurance from the Doctor, thinking the TARDIS to be a safe space, with the Doctor replying, "So did I," obviously proven wrong by the threat in front of them. It's interesting to see the levels of trust shift and change between the Doctor and her friends. It makes the characters feel more human, more realistic, and that is the dream. The next shot is coupled with audio that furthers this as Graham questions the Doctor and what she's done. If the Doctor makes mistakes, it furthers this idea of realism and vulnerability in this legendary Time Lord too. The shot itself features the Doctor dashing for the ocean to save a drowning figure whose identity remains a mystery. The scenery looks spectacular and matches this next shot, which features the birds or bats cascading against their TARDIS exterior. We then get a frame featuring a fiery explosion provided by the fantastic real SFX, no doubt. Behind the explosion we have these two people in period dress with this ancient looking wall and a staggered stone pyramid type structure behind that. It's quick cut and explosive scene with a setting worth investigating. We then get this nice close up of Yaz as tears well in her eyes. This series will hopefully allow the actors to throw themselves into new techniques and styles. I'm sure we'll get multiple definitive and groundbreaking performances for this series. And we're on to the final few shots now, so let's go. We've got this plane spinning in the moonlight in another brilliantly looking frame, followed by sheer panic as Yaz and Graham struggle to hold on as they appear to be nearly sucked out of an aircraft, potentially the plane in flight, with Yaz screaming for the Doctor and the next shot showing the Doctor in shock in a rural setting. Whether or not these shots are part of the same sequence or not is unlikely, but with Doctor Who, you never know. After all this analysis, we finally reach a frame with the logo floating in a colourful space full of stars and nebulas. Doctor Who is coming back early 2020 and I for one can't wait. What are your thoughts about the new trailer? For me it's a definite improvement on that of Series 11's teasers. The visuals and CGI look amazing, the camera work is great. Whether or not the actual narrative content of these episodes, these stories, are brilliant as the visuals is yet to be seen, but I've got my fingers heavily crossed. And finally, what's your favourite Doctor Who trailer, official or fan-made? There are some brilliant creations out there, drop some links in the description below if you want to share your favourite ones or maybe ones you guys have even made. With all that said, thank you very much for watching, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and by the way, I have my own channel merch store now, with all profits made before the 1st of December, going towards children in need. With that said, thanks again and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.